It's always good to start out with a laughter. So, welcome again, Jay, to co-host spot.
Q&A with Kev and Jay.
Q&A with Kev and Jay. We are all the way into 2022.
We are.
And
it's going to be a good year.
It's never a dull moment.
There is not.
So let's jump right into it. It's 2022. We
Yeah.
had a Supreme Court justice retire in the last week, and President Biden went back, was reminded that he said that in the event he had a chance to nominate a Supreme Court justice, that it would definitely be a black female.
Yep. And Justice Breyer, who we were on pins and needles, at least many liberals were and Democrats, is this guy going to retire? And he did the right thing and retired at the age of 83.
I have to admit, I never heard of him.
You've never heard of him?
Never heard of him.
Liberal. I mean, he's been very, very consistent. I think had a very good reputation, but never heard anything.
Another old white guy.
Another old white guy.
Okay.
Yeah, old white guy.
They're all kind of sort of the same.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but anyway, at any rate,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of pushback from people who are clamoring over this complaint. Like they're not even getting the complaint correctly, right?
Right.
Like, depending on who you're talking to or what they think it is, it's why does it have to be a black female?
Right.
Why not just be a female?
Right.
And
Just get the best candidate possible.
Best candidate possible. But we all know that's basically saying
It's a dog whistle.
keep it as it's always been.
Absolutely. Keep it. And
Why do they call it a dog whistle?
I'm not really sure.
I mean, because I'm saying, if you think about it, a dog whistle, only person that can hear the
Is
dog
the dog.
whistle is the dog.
Yeah.
So who blows the whistle?
That's another show.
Okay. So
I think we have an actual, we have an episode about the dog whistle.
it's one of those things. However, this country struggles with equality.
Look at, we just have to go back 1 second. Look at the history. I think they said in the, however many years we've had the Supreme Court, 115 justices. You've only had, is it 3 women? And how many people of color? You've had Thurgood Marshall.
3 women. You got Comey Barrett, you got Sotomayor, you had RBG,
and then you had Sandra Day O'Connor.
Sandra Day O'Connor.
So you had 4.
Right.
Okay. That's in history.
Okay.
In our history.
So we've had 2 black men.
Yeah, Thurgood Marshall and Clarence Thomas.
Totally different people, right?
Yeah.
So here we are, out of 115 years.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have to laugh at this because Ginsburg was Jewish.
She was.
Okay. Sotomayor is Hispanic Latino.
Yep.
Clarence Thomas is blackish.
Blackish is probably the best way to.
Yeah. Thurgood Marshall was black, but with a history of some tainting here or there. Like most black people in America, we've been tainted because of slavery. But overall, black man.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, so it's a black woman's turn.
Yeah.
And we have pushback. So do you really think that this country will ever take a hardcore look at itself and say, you know what,
No.
we got
No. I think what's really sad here is you would think you would have no pushback. I mean, you've never had. It's about representation. The Supreme Court should be about representation. Black women are, I don't know what percent of this country are black women, but the point is, it's about time. It was about time many years ago, but now we have the perfect opportunity. And what you hear on some of the channels, and I'm not going to mention the channels, is the fact that, well, it should be the best person for the job. Why does it have to be a black woman? And then what you're hearing now is it's all about the radical left. But here's something that's interesting. They're screaming about the radical left. When they appoint, what about the radical right?
Well,
Do we hear any pushback on the radical right?
is just the wrong word to use.
But that's the word they're using.
I'm going to read you something from over 100 years ago.
Wow, you have something from 100 years?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Right. Okay, so
God.
the first black female that was allowed to go to school to become a judge. Long time ago. Her name was Charlotte Ray. In the city of Washington, where a few years ago colored women were bought and sold, under sanction of law, a woman of African descent has been admitted to practice at the bar of the Supreme Court of the District of Columbia.
Wow. 100 years ago.
This is, so that within itself.
Yeah.
I got a lot of words in there, right?
Yeah.
Miss Charlotte E. Ray, who has the honor of being the first lady lawyer in Washington, is a graduate of the College of Law of Howard University, and is said to be a dusky mulatto possessing quite an intellect countenance. She doubtless has a mind and deserves success.
Wow. Wow.
This statement is being used now.
Yeah, right.
So this qualification
Yeah, right.
comes at the behest of people who aren't even qualified to go to law school.
Right. Right.
So has no idea. Kind of like, it reminds me of Obama, when people forgot that, when they were talking stuff about Obama, about, you know, whether he was this or whether he that. The dude is a Constitution lawyer.
Yeah, from Harvard.
From Harvard. So you can't set Harvard as the bar 99% of the times and then make it the worst place you could go when it comes to other people that actually go there and go to the same classes.
Yeah.
This whole intellect of black people being smart, you know, the question of black people having the intellect to be smart, you know, that's what I consider one of those same old things that just never changes.
Right.
So even this slogan, MAGA, right? We know that rallied people.
It did.
You know what I'm saying? So again, the premise was, what are you really rallying for?
Right.
And what are you rallying about?
Yeah.
So every time that it seems that we're at a point where a black or a non-black person or a non-white person is it's time for them, or they're right there and they deserve it, you know what I'm saying? So there's always this question of, are they smart enough?
Right.
Are they good enough?
Right. I think that this is an opportunity. I don't think there'll be any question that whoever he nominates will get in. But there will be a fight on the right, and then you have to hope, you know, that the mansions and the cinemas will support this, you know, because it is so tight.
Well,
we don't have a lot of time.
I put no emphasis on that.
Well, there needs
Personally, I don't. But I will say this. I think one of the things that we're missing out on, or we're maybe overlooking, is that there are so many people that are qualified.
Yeah.
That we're not talking about that.
Right.
We're only spending a lot of time talking about the pushback of the nomination.
Yeah. We have, right now, there's 7 or 8, and there's even more. I think there's going to be a little pressure. I think you've got to watch out for is Justice Childs. Justice Childs is the one that was nominated by Clyburn.
Okay.
And Clyburn, of course, was the one, you know, South Carolina, and without Clyburn's push, Biden may not have become our next president. And I think there's a lot of pressure now for him to consider Childs, where initially that was really not part of the conversation, but in the last couple of days, you've seen that. At the end of the day, your point is well made. All of these candidates that I have heard so far, these are all incredibly educated, accomplished women who all would add value to that Supreme Court.
You know,
all.
I think the newsflash in all of this is constantly the same thing. That, you know, how dare a black person be smart enough or to be qualified enough?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something that, you know, having kids, you know, as a black person who has black and brown kids. My wife is Puerto Rican, and I'll constantly have the conversation with them about not getting caught up in this bracket or this group or the identification of you know what you are,
right?
Because what it does is it muddles who you are.
Yeah.
And so we're always at that constant, you know what I'm saying, thing. It's always, I don't think it's ever going to go away in the sense of in my lifetime.
Right. So we have to stay tuned. We got a lot going on in the coming weeks and months with the next Supreme Court Justice nomination, and it's going to get ugly.
How do you think this is going to play out in the election of 2022? Do you think it helps? Do you think it helps if
it will help galvanize? There's no question. Biden has really been hurt. The black folks in this country have been turned off. You know, with they did not get the John Lewis, the Voting Rights Act moving forward. So I think with this,
some people would say
Yeah. I hope it does move forward. But remember, 2022 is going to be very difficult. Very high likelihood that we will lose the House. When I say we, Democrats will lose the House, and there is a likelihood potentially the Senate. So you could have a lame duck president.
I don't know about that, because the thing is whoever gets the most votes win, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so except for the president.
Was that a trick question?
Except for the presidential election, we know that boils down to.
It's a little worried there.
We know that boils down to whatever state you're in, right? You get so many points. So
right.
But with everybody else, it's whoever gets the most votes. So this is probably the better challenge to communities who potentially may not vote because they are turned off.
Yeah.
The work has to be put in making sure that you have people registered and helping them understand how
it does.
Their vote does count.
But your question was, will this help? I think appointing an African American, a Black American, to the Supreme Court definitely helps the Democrats. I think it will energize, potentially re-energize African Americans in this country, and that's really important. Is it all that they need? No, we need more. But again, it's tough to get. You can't blame Biden for everything. I think it's really difficult because with things so tight in Senate and in the House, it's hard to pass anything. And it's going to be even more difficult. And it's going to bring us to one of the more divisive issues, I think, in 2022 is going to be, if I could mention it, CRT. Is it too early to mention CRT?
No, I think it's
critical race theory.
I mean, how can it be too early?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think the whole term critical race theory should be broken down.
Yeah.
Right? So what's critical about learning about race and the theory of understanding the whole thing? Like,
right.
What's so critical about that?
Yeah.
Right? What does it do? What does it take away from? I think one of the bigger points that I've tried to make to younger Black people is you have to look at this from the standpoint of ageism as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of older white people who are pushing against critical race theory are in this preservation mode of we want to preserve the dominance of white supremacy. And they're concerned that the generations that are in their own families will look at this and say, well, damn, Dad, that was probably screwed up.
Isn't it the fear of the browning of America?
Well, I mean,
isn't it really CRT? Isn't it really become just a lightning rod and a talking point for Republicans to say that, I mean, because CRT really it won the election for Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. It really helped win because people really believe that their children going to school, they're becoming defensive and they're feeling guilty because it's like, wait, I had nothing to do with slavery. No. That's not what this is about. What CRT is, really what all we're talking about is stop whitewashing history.
It's still idiot.
Teach history.
It's still an idiot fight.
But isn't that right though, Kevin?
It is right. You're right.
Right. Thank you.
You think about it like this, right?
It is. It's about teaching history.
We just took down statues that people were fighting to keep up.
Yeah.
So you want to keep these statues up. So we learn about, if the statues stay up, and we learn about the person that is the statue, what are we going to find?
Yeah.
We're going to find that same critical history that you're trying to avoid kids learning in school. Right. So who are you trying to teach it to?
Yeah.
When you put up a statue. Yeah. When you walk around with a rubber flag, what are you saying? You saying it's because of history. You said it's about pride, right? Right. So when people learn what's behind that pride, what are they going to find? Yeah. If you stand on the middle of, we just saw a video this morning of people standing out on the streets in Florida, dressed in Nazi gear.
Really?
Yeah, like so when we go start studying Nazis, and we try to figure out why you're staying here.
Really?
Yeah, we're gonna learn history. Wow. So in one hand, you're trying to avoid it being taught to young people, but in your effort to keep that from being spread, you're actually teaching the same history. Right. So I say let them keep fighting. Yeah. I say let them keep talking about, let them keep trying to ban it and all that stuff. Because we talk about it more, we're talking about the history that they're trying to ban now more than we have been in the past. And
they're also, it's also sort of part of this whole CRT now is, now it's a lot of book banning. Yeah. If you've been reading in the paper, schools all over the country, the latest is in Tennessee. There's a book called Maus, M-A-U-S. It's about Nazi Germany. And the school in Tennessee says there is, vile language. The word D-A-M-N is in the book. That is too inappropriate. What it does is it teaches young people about the Holocaust in a way that they may understand. But they're banning books. They're doing it, transgender books, books about gays. This is happening all over the country, in North Carolina too.
So how are you going to ban all these books and at the same time keep the Bible on the shelf?
Yeah. I mean, that's
like, you know, what is the Bible?
Yeah.
It is a history book.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not just the history, it's the history of mankind.
Yeah.
Told through Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So at what book will you stop at? Like
Right.
how far does it go?
Yeah.
If you leave only the Bible in the library. And
Dr. Seuss. Remember, they've already had conversations about Dr. Seuss.
If you leave the Bible in the library, if that's
Yeah.
the only book you have in the library, and you
Yeah.
break down all the books of the Bible and you spread them all over the library, and you force kids to go in there to learn the book, because conservatives are hardcore Christians, so to speak, right?
Oh, yeah.
What will happen when the kids learn that Jesus was black, or that the first people that God created might have been black?
Right.
What are you going to do then?
Yeah.
Right? So you can't ban every book and still get the result that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I say have at it.
Yeah.
You know, I say keep it going, keep the whole banning of it
Does
going.
it worry you though, Kev?
No, it doesn't worry me at all.
Let me ask you this question. As I said earlier, CRT is a lightning rod. CRT can potentially, it's going to be good, it's a good talking point for the Republicans, which means the 2022 election is coming up. That is going to be, mark my word, between CRT and voting rights, all this stuff are going to be those talking points for 2022. That will potentially hurt the Democrats.
When you put it like that, Jay, you know what it says to me
Yeah,
is that
I worry about that.
I don't worry about it. I'm telling you why. What you're basically saying is there are people who are not smart enough to
That's right.
understand what's really in front of you.
Have
Like
you-
what's really being said.
Have you listened to some of these people that go to some of these rallies?
I have, and I watched a lot of.
I mean, really?
I watch a lot of, what's my man's name on Trevor?
Oh, Trevor Noah.
No, what's this guy's name that goes?
Oh, that goes out and say, I can't remember his name.
But I
Yeah,
watch
he's
a lot of-
very funny.
Yeah, because he's just
Hilarious.
asking simple questions, and people fight the Constitution. There's a fight.
Right.
When you ask them to recite anything from the Constitution, they can't do it.
Right.
When you ask them to say the Pledge of Allegiance, they can't remember
Yeah.
what it really is.
Right.
So when you think about all this stuff, you're really highlighting just how dumb our country is.
Yeah.
Right. And if you think about,
You looked at me.
No, I'm just saying because we're
Not
in the same
me,
country. If I can go back to when I was in school, we learned about Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
We learned about Aztec Indians. We learned about Greeks. We learned about Romans. We learned about Shakespeare. We learned about all those things, none of which took place in this country.
Yeah.
When it came to U.S. history, we skimmed through it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Plenty of people don't know what voting rights are on the books right now.
Right.
A lot of people have no idea how many amendments we have to the Constitution.
Right.
A lot of people don't know even what the Second Amendment is. All they think about it is it allows me to own a gun.
Right.
But they even looking at that from the standpoint of white privilege.
Right.
So this country is full of a lot of dumb people.
And that's a great segue into woke culture, white privilege.
Again, woke culture. And I have an attitude about woke culture.
You do?
I really do, because
Define woke. I want your definition of woke culture.
well, I'm gonna
You
define
define
it.
it.
I'm gonna define it behind the premise of why I have an attitude with how it's been used now. For years.
You always have a little attitude, though,
Well,
and I like that.
you know.
You got a little attitude.
It comes with my swag,
I have no swag. How do I
I
get
don't
some swag?
know if you can be black in this country and not have some sort of attitude.
I know.
There's a way that
Yeah,
you
got it.
have to
But-
carry yourself with
Yeah,
with
but you got attitude.
a
It's good.
distinct to avoid dysfunction of being black. You have to have an attitude.
Define. I want your definition of woke culture.
So for years, decades, what woke has meant to the black community is to help them understand that you are constantly under siege, that you will never be 100% American in the eyes of a constitution, in the eyes of a judge, in the eyes of any kind of systemic reverence in this country. We know better. Our job has constantly been to make sure that our kids or our grandkids and our neighbors and our communities understand what's really at stake. So we don't want them to walk around sleep because you'll be sheep.
Right.
So for us, it's always like, you need to wake up, brother. You need to understand what's going on around you.
Right.
poison of the food and water, disease engineering controlling over your life.
Right.
This is old. All the stuff that's coming with the vaccines and the science, and all, we've been saying this in the black community forever.
Is any of it paranoia?
I don't think it's paranoid. It's awareness.
Okay.
It's awareness.
But sometimes I think,
to see it be used now
okay,
as a term that's a democratic, just on the sense of democratic left.
yeah,
Or somehow now that you're a woke culture, now that means you're something bad in the sense of everybody. Like, so you don't want us to be aware.
I mean, woke to me just means I am aware of, a lot of these issues regarding race and gender and things of that nature. I mean,
Right.
that's just, I'm aware.
Right.
I'm not ignorant to those issues.
There's been plenty.
Right? I mean, that's
When I was
me.
when I was younger, when I was in my
So
early
I'm woke.
20s, you are woke,
Yes.
and I'm doing my job to keep you awake. So I remember going to a job interview in my early 20s, and my brother was in the car.
Long time ago.
Long time ago, thankfully. And
Many years.
I was getting ready to get out of the car, and I was just sitting here contemplating, like, what am I going to say? And so my brother was like, look, man, just know that wake your ass up. Know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I called my friend Carl Pringle, he said the exact same thing every time I call him. I say, hey man, how's it going? What's going on? He said, hey man, I woke up this morning, everything else is extra.
Mm.
So for them to turn around and try to use this terminology as something bad,
Yeah.
it shows the ignorance again of
Yeah.
a certain population in this country.
Yeah, but that again, it is the right that is. It's always
It's
when
the
you
right
look
that's
at
wrong.
the right that's wrong, and it's interesting because you will see headlines with woke culture
Yeah.
on Fox. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
look
works.
at Fox.
It's an
It's
old-
constant.
It's an old game.
It's
though.
such a negative
It's-
connotation, and it
it's-
shouldn't be.
It's an old game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, and I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah,
You got another time if you want.
Okay, I think it's an old game. That's being played on its own citizens. Like
Yeah.
when I was in school too. I'm gonna bring this up. I remember studying Julius Caesar in
Yeah.
particular,
I don't
and
know
they
much
talk
about
about.
Caesar, other than Caesar salad, which I do enjoy.
So Julius Caesar was a dictator. He was a ruler, right? Some would even say even back then that he was gay, right? That he
Never heard that.
Yeah, he punished women, right? And I also learned that the slaves, he had millions of slaves, and he had millions of people in the army. He had hundreds of thousands of people in the army, and hundreds of thousands of slaves. I won't even go millions. I'm gonna try to refrain from that, just from the sense that I don't want to be all the way wrong.
Yeah,
But
people will fact check you.
he would go into a family and say, so you're going to be the slave and you're going to be the soldier, right? So you could be brothers, and one could be working as a slave and one could be working as a soldier. Well, there's really no distinct difference between the two,
Yeah,
because one man is telling hundreds of thousands of people what to do. One person.
right,
I often wonder, so why didn't they just turn on him and go in there and slaughter him?
right.
You're slaughtering everybody else. Why not just go slaughter? If you don't believe in what he's doing,
It's like
you don't
Hitler.
believe in what he's exactly. So why do we do that? And why do we allow ourselves to be controlled by somebody that's leading
it's
us
a great-
to doom?
It is a great question, and I think it is, to me, people just, I can't figure that out. I
I
just
don't either.
cannot figure that out. It's very upsetting
Yeah.
that people will just be led by nonsense and hate. I don't get it.
So
And
what's-
no facts.
Mhm.
So what was the question?
No, so I was just gonna make the point of
Yeah.
we see it all the way around. It doesn't seem to really be like quote unquote going away.
No.
Because it's either this or it's this or it's this or this. So if you look at all the things that are making headlines in this country, it's
Yeah.
all racism.
Yeah. Race seems to
It's
be
all
the
racism.
common theme around
Yeah.
just about everything going on.
I mean,
in this
you and I have
country.
been doing this. We've been doing shows and talking to each other about
Yeah.
shows for
Yeah.
going on 2 years now.
Yep.
And you and I have been in at least two situations,
Yeah.
right?
Where we-
one was we
With
had
our
me and our
wives.
wives, and then the
Yeah.
other one was when we were with Tyshawn.
Yeah, and in Fuquay.
Yeah, and
I shouldn't have mentioned the city, but it
we
wasn't.
well, why not?
Yeah, why not?
They made it, we didn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So we've been in two situations when we were just having a conversation where
Yeah.
people are just observing us having a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, who the hell are they? Why
Right.
is this old white dude talking to this old black dude?
Oh, at least you said old. I thought you were going to say this old white dude talking to this young black dude.
No, I mean this old,
Thank
old
you.
black dude. We had a young
God.
black dude with us, but what I'm saying is, not even given,
Yeah.
not even taking into account that technically you're Jewish and your wife is Italian, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, right?
Mhm.
And my wife is not
Right.
black in the terms of black
Yeah.
in this country, but would be considered brown.
Yeah.
And so we basically are four different
We-
cultures.
At the end of the day, we have a long way to go in this country.
A long way to go with it on this.
A long
in
way,
this- in
and
this
just
world.
people accepting differences and everything. And
Yeah.
this has been great.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this
Yeah, Q&A. I mean,
Q&A with Kev and Jay. I mean, you
so we're
can't.
asking a lot of questions.
We ask a lot of questions.
I have some answers. We have some answers.
We do, but we don't have all the answers.
We don't have all the. I don't know if you could do that. I do want to say that this morning I got a phone call that my nephew was in a terrible car accident, and so I'm coming from the hospital to have this conversation. And this is a young man, very, very young man, who is probably unaware of 99% of what we just discussed. But because he is going to have to take some time to get himself back together, I take it as an opportunity to keep him abreast,
Yeah.
also known as woke,
Woke.
and to help him understand how valuable his vote is, and to use the ambulance that showed on the scene, the blue lights that showed up on the scene, the doctors and nurses, and help him understand that as blessed as you are, you also have to think about all the people that it took to help
Yeah.
get you
Yep.
to a safe place,
Yep.
AKA the hospital bed,
Yep.
in order to get you started on your way. So we want to make sure that we give a kudos, shout out, and a huge thank you to the people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We always thank a teacher,
Like a teacher.
but we also want to make sure we thank those people that can erase racism for whatever time period it takes to get in an ambulance
Yeah.
and pick up people of all descents and colors and nationalities and
Right.
and religions in a quest to do a heartfelt thing that many, 99.9% of this country won't even imagine doing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
thank them all.
And thank you. And you've been listening to
Q&A.
Q&A with Kev and Jay. And until next time,
Another day.
Another
even
day.
hang. Don't
We'll
even hang.
see.
Don't even hang. And don't
Well,
make it
they-
awkward.
I did make you hang.
punched me too. It's just
I did. That was very
it's
awkward.
just, it's dab.
You don't hit. It's not a
fist bump.
punch.
It's not fist bump anymore. It's just dab. Okay, so
It's a
let's,
dab?
let's do it smooth.
I don't know how to do
Bring out the smoothest part.
It's
of
so
it.
unnatural for me to dab.
Okay,
Let's
so
just try it. Like this,
There
side,
you go.
side.
There you go. Yeah,
It's a side.
there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Till next time.
Anytime, bruise my knuckles.